We are all set, Captain. You are ready to go.
Welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is the latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. Riccardo Calafiori is expected to sign for Arsenal today as Bologna and Arsenal are having their final round of talks in these last hours. We're going to be talking about a few skeptical voices in that Arsenal team that do not want Riccardo Calafiori, and they're challenging Mikel Arteta, thinking that Riccardo Calafiori is not a good investment, is not good value for money. Of course, we have signed a few players in the past, Julian Timber, the likes of Jakub Kiwior, and a couple of people are telling Mikel Arteta inside Arsenal that signing Riccardo Calafiori is not justifiable. We're going to be talking about that in this one. We'll talk about a new goalkeeper. Obviously, we did talk about Dan Bentley yesterday, and now Arsenal saying if they cannot sign Dan Bentley actually, they're going to go and press on to sign Andre Lunin at Real Madrid. He's a player that Arsenal have liked for quite some time, and I think he's a little bit more expensive. He's actually more expensive than Dan Bentley. But if Arsenal are going to miss out on Dan Bentley, then they're looking at Lunin at Real Madrid as one of the new goalkeepers they could actually bring in. We'll be talking about the players that Arsenal have told to leave, including Thomas Partey. It's a whole list of players that have been told they can leave Arsenal this summer. So it's not new, but it's quite very, very interesting that Arsenal have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players on their list of sales right now. And all these players have actually been important for Mikel Arteta last season but one. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Hope you're doing very well. It's a cold morning. It's a cold afternoon as well in some parts of the world. But here we are. And we are discussing transfers, and we are discussing Arsenal transfer summer. Right, where do we start? Let's start off with that Riccardo Calafiori story that confirms that Riccardo Calafiori should be an Arsenal player today. Everything should be agreed between Arsenal, and the other teams today. We don't and Bologna today. We don't expect negotiations to go beyond today. It should be today. It should be today that we find that agreement between us and Bologna. Now, that is not the biggest problem, actually, Mikel Arteta is facing right about now. The biggest problem is facing is voices inside Arsenal, we are told, that feel a little bit skeptical about the value of Riccardo Calafiori, and they feel it's not good value for money, and they feel we already have players in that area, so Arsenal should not be signing a left back, and therefore Mikel Arteta should not be signing a left back. Now, according to The Athletic today, they have actually revealed that although some people at Arsenal are not convinced about Calafiori, like the way they were about Julian Timber. With Julian Timber, everyone was convinced about him. With Eberechi Eze, everyone is convinced about him. With Declan Rice, everyone is convinced about him. But when it comes to Riccardo Calafiori at Arsenal, Mikel Arteta is the most interested and is the most convinced about his profile as a player. Remember, we talked about the fact that he was not initially in Arsenal's plans to sign for this summer. The players that were in that plan were Murillo at Nottingham Forest, Jared Branthwaite at Everton, and Gerard Hato at Ajax. When you think about all those three players, I think apart from Murillo, who could be around 50 million, the others were always going to be expensive. So what Mikel Arteta has decided is he's looked around the market and he said, this is a profile this is a profile that really fits into what Jared Branthwaite brings. This is a profile that fits into what Gerard Hato would bring, and of course, he's a little bit more experienced and a couple of other advantages of signing him. And people at Arsenal are not 100% convinced about this one. Now, I've not heard of many transfers where there's been a split between Mikel Arteta and the rest of the people at Arsenal. Maybe the one we could actually think about was the Housemowa signing. Because during the Housemowa time, we were told that Mikel Arteta wanted both Housemowa and Partey, and Edu wanted us to sign either Partey or Hausemoa, and we ended up getting up Thomas Partey because the Hausemoa deal eventually fell through. So maybe this is like that kind of situation. I don't understand. I don't understand why people think that Mikel Arteta is wasting money by signing Calafiori. If anyone thinks that it's good, it's a good sign to sign Gerard Hartso. It's a good thing to sign Gerard Hartso. And anyone also thinks that Arsenal should go ahead and sign Gerard Branthwaite. When I think about Branthwaite and I think about Calafiori, and I ask myself, what is the real difference between these two? What is the difference between Gerard Branthwaite and Calafiori? I actually don't say it. I think, listen, Branthwaite has played in the Premier League for Everton. Yeah, that could be an advantage. But apart from that, I really don't see why anyone would say, let's sign Branthwaite, but let's not sign Calafiori. I think both of them, young centre-backs, you're looking at potential, you're looking at the future. And when you think about the profile of what Mikel Arteta is trying to do, he's trying to bring in someone that can play at left-back predominantly. I don't think Gerard Branthwaite is that guy. I don't think Murillo could be that guy, but because his ball dribbling and his ball progression is insane. But I don't think Gerard Branthwaite is that guy. So if anyone wants us to sign Gerard Branthwaite inside Arsenal, but not Calafiori, I think there's a problem there. But these are some of the things that Mikel Arteta is being told about Calafiori and his signing. One, it's Mikel who wants him mostly than any other person inside Arsenal. Now, secondly, people are skeptical because of his injuries. And of course, we've talked about his injury record before. We've talked about that injury list. It's a little bit worrying. I'm not going to lie. It's a little bit worrying. And Mikel Arteta has got to, I would say, work on it a little bit. He's got to be sure that when he brings in Riccardo Calafiori, he's not going to pick up the injuries he's been picking up in the past few years. He's picked up almost, he's missed around 560 days of football due to injury. That's a lot, right? That's a lot. So people inside Arsenal are saying, why are telling Mikel Arteta, why are you signing a guy that has picked up as many injuries as Kieran Tierney, who's 27 and is only 22? And Mikel Arteta is saying, when I look at his profile, when I look at what I want to do, he is the player that actually suits what I want to do. Now, I don't 100% back Mikel Arteta to sign an injury-prone player. This should be put on record. I think that if I'm Mikel Arteta and if you're Mikel, you have suffered enough with injuries. Zinchenko is injury-prone. Jesus is injury-prone. Partey is injury-prone. You've suffered enough with injuries, and you understand that you cannot sign key players that have injury problems. If Mikel is not sure about Calafiori's injury record, then and it's improving at Arsenal, then there's a problem there. But if Mikel Arteta is pressing on and is pressing to get this deal done, it's because maybe he's looked at his injury record. Maybe he's looked at the kind of injuries he's picking up, and he knows how to deal with it. Now he's a rapid player, just like Gabriel Martinelli, and somehow Arsenal dealt with Gabriel Martinelli's injuries and his injury-prone record. And I think in the last 2 years, yes, he has picked up some injuries, but even other players at Arsenal picked up injuries. So people at Arsenal telling Mikel, why are you signing a player that has picked up as many injuries as Kieran Tierney? Kieran Tierney is 27, Calafiori is 22. And I think it's a fair question, and I think it's a question that Mikel Arteta needs to look into before we finalize this deal. So we are in final talks with Riccardo Calafiori and Bologna. Arsenal have problems internally on this deal. At first, we were told that the board approved this deal. We were also told that everyone at Arsenal was on board. But The Athletic today have released a deal sheet detailing that people at Arsenal are not 100% on board with this deal. The other problem that Mikel Arteta is facing, and why people inside Arsenal are saying that this is not real good money, value for money, this is not a good investment, we should invest this money elsewhere. Like many of you on this channel, you've always told me, Cossy, our problem is a striker. Now, people at Arsenal are saying there's so many other areas Mikel Arteta could have invested in other than left back. We have had, we have a Julian Timber coming last summer. We have Jakub Kiwior, who played in that position, and we have Alexander Zinchenko, who has been told to leave by Arsenal, who has been put up for sale by Arsenal. So they're saying, if you have all these players, why don't you use any one of them or two of them as your left backs? But then, why are you trying to invest another 40-50 million in that position, a position that we invested 40 million in last summer, and a position that we have almost invested 90 million? Because if you think about that 45 million euros for Timber, and you think about 15 million for Kiwior and 35 million for Zinchenko, that's about 90 million that Arsenal have invested at left back. And don't even get me started from the likes of Cedric Soares, Pablo Mari, and all that. But what I understand is that Mikel Arteta is not pleased and is not contented with any of the options he's got in that area. He's not contented. He doesn't want any of them. And you cannot blame a manager. Okay, you can't blame Mikel Arteta because he asked for Timber, he asked for Kiwior, and he asked for Zinchenko, right? So you can blame him because we have literally wasted money. We are going to make losses on Alexander Zinchenko, no doubt about that. And most importantly, Jakub Kiwior is not a left back. So again, that was a pointless buy. The good thing with Jakub Kiwior is that Arsenal are going to make some good profit on that. So people inside Arsenal saying, why are we buying another left back? Why are we buying almost a left back every single summer? Why are we buying a player in that position every single summer? Why are we investing money again in that position? But on this one, I can defend Mikel Arteta a little bit, just a little bit. I don't like doing PR for Mikel Arteta because at times it disappoints me. But for this one, I'm going to do a little bit of PR for him. So why Mikel is trying to invest again at left back after buying Timber, after buying Kiwior, after buying Zinchenko, it has not worked. That's the truth. It has not worked. Kiwior at left back doesn't work. Alexander Zinchenko at left back doesn't work. Who doesn't know that these guys don't play well at left back? It doesn't work. It's as simple as that. So it doesn't work. So he needs a left back. And that's why he's decided to go for a player like Riccardo Calafiori. But also, most importantly, what Mikel wants is a left back who can play as a center back. So he can play in a back three. He can also play in a back four. And when I think about Zinchenko playing in a back three, disastrous. When I think about Kiwior against Bayern, disastrous, right? So what Mikel wants is a left back, a left-footed player that can actually do something sensible on the pitch. Timber is sensible. He's a good player, but he's right-footed. So I understand. And the idea of balance is something I've discussed right from last season. And I think it's something that I will talk about through pre-season as we try to find who is the best player to play for Arsenal at left back. I want to ask you right in the comments. Among other players we have right now, Tomiyasu, Timber, Zinchenko, and Kiwior, who is the player that is most suitable to play for Arsenal at left back right now? Would you play Timber? Would you play Zinchenko? Would you play Tomiyasu? Or would you play Kiwior? Because the problem with all of them is that they're either right-footed, and that doesn't give you the amount of balance you want as a team. If we switch it from the right-hand side to the left-hand side, do we have enough talent, left-footed talent, on the left-hand side to actually give us enough quality, right? On that side. Rice, who is the left eight, is not left-footed. He's actually right-footed. Martinelli, who plays there, is right-footed. And then you want to have a Timber or Tomiyasu who is also right-footed. Then that means that the team is going to be looking right-footed only. So you need some players that are left-footed on the left-hand side, like Calafiori, to create that kind of balance. And that's what Mikel Arteta is trying to work on. Is trying to work on balance. And that's why for me the signing of Riccardo Calafiori, the signing of Murillo, the signing of Gerrard makes a lot of sense. But many people at Arsenal are not convinced about that one. But Mikel Arteta is 100% locked on Calafiori. Final talks happening, should break today, and we are also expecting him to join us for pre-season as Arsenal take on Man United, Liverpool, and Bournemouth in the USA. So that is where we are. Couple of people don't trust the signing. Couple of people think it's not a good buy inside Arsenal, but Mikel Arteta is locked, and Mikel Arteta is very, very confident this is a good buy. So are we thinking it's a good buy? I want your thoughts here. Are we thinking it's a good buy? Are we thinking it's a risky buy because of the injuries? Because we already have players. Would you buy? Would you invest that money elsewhere instead of at left back? Right, because that's what many people have told me. We don't need a left back. We don't need a left back. We don't need a left back. We need a striker. But I think what Mikel wants, and I've explained this in the recent video I've put out on Arsenal having a world-class defense. Go and watch that video. Why Calafiori makes Arsenal a world-class defense. Among the key points I've noted out is the fact that Arsenal will be able to win games by a goal to nil. And last season, for me, we considered so many goals that could have been avoided. And we considered very few, by the way. We considered very few goals that you should be able to win the league. When you concede only 29 goals out of 38 games, you should be able to win the league. But what mattered is that Arsenal conceded some goals that we didn't have to concede. Lazy goals, stupid goals, goals that are avoidable. For example, the Aston Villa game, I think both goals are avoidable goals, right? The first one is Alexander Zinchenko trying to defend at right back, losing track of his man at left back, and Leon Bailey gets a tap in. I think if you have a proper left back, he knows that by positioning, he's got to protect that. He's got to protect that area, the left-hand side of your goal. I don't think that goal goes in. I don't think Leon Bailey gets a free tap in, right? So that is one thing I'm saying, that bringing in a player like Riccardo Calafiori can help Arsenal improve our defensive record even better, but also we can improve on the goals we are conceding. I don't mind conceding a good goal, right? For example, I don't know which good goal did we concede last season, and I'm like, that's a good goal. That's a good goal. I don't mind that. I think the 2 goals we conceded against Fulham when we lost to them 2-1. I don't mind those goals. I think those are good goals. I don't mind them. But the goals I don't want to see happen, against Liverpool, Anfield, 1-1, it was Alexander Zinchenko. Against West Ham in the Carabao Cup, we lost what? 3-1, 3-0, 3-1, maybe. It was Alexander Zinchenko. Aston Villa, it's Alexander Zinchenko. There is that repetitive pattern of Arsenal being exposed at left back. And that's why Mikel Arteta is saying this is unacceptable. I want to go out to the market. I want to go out in the transfer market and find myself a very, very reliable left back. So I agree with Mikel on this one. I'm with Mikel on this one. Riccardo Calafiori, even if it wasn't Riccardo Calafiori, even if it was Murillo, even if it was Jared Branthwaite, I think I can see what Mikel Arteta is trying to do with this one. I think I can see it. Okay. Good morning to everyone in the chat. Hope you're doing very well. Gonna get to some of your thoughts and comments in the comment box below. But that's what's happening with Riccardo Calafiori, as they expect to finalize that deal as quickly as possible in the next few hours. But we have some friction inside the walls of Arsenal. Some people think it is not a good signing. Now, I just wanted to touch something little on the goalkeeping department, because there isn't something huge. It's just something little right on the goalkeeping department. And they're saying that Arsenal are closely monitoring the situation of Andre Lunin, and they have made a call to Lunin to Lunin to inquire about his status. They have shown interest in Espanyol's goalkeeper Joan Garcia as well. So the feeling around Arsenal is that we might not get Dan Bentley. That is the priority. Dan Bentley is the first choice Arsenal want to sign. He's the goalkeeper that Mikel Arteta wants, the goalkeeper that the goalkeeping department have actually fronted. But if Arsenal are not going to get him, then we might go for Andre Lunin. I think for me, I like Lunin actually. I think he's a good goalkeeper. We saw him at the Euros with Ukraine. I think he's a decent goalkeeper. I think there's a good goalkeeper there. The question is, why would Andre Lunin leave Real Madrid to come and be a backup to David Raya at Arsenal? That's number one. Secondly, Andre Lunin is a goalkeeper that I wouldn't say he's going to come in and straight away agree to be a second choice goalkeeper, I think he's going to be causing a little bit of I would say disruption. That's why I said Dan Bentley is a very good buy for Arsenal. He doesn't cause you problems. In the first place, you can use him in any way, shape, and form you want, and he's going to be there for the next 3, 4, 5 years without causing problems, right? So Andre Lunin obviously is for me, I can see him as the first choice goalkeeper at a club like Everton, at a club like Brentford, at a club like maybe Crystal Palace. I can see him as a first choice goalkeeper. But Arsenal wants him, and should we fail to get Dan Bentley, then Andre Lunin is on the list. But I don't think Arsenal should fail to get Dan Bentley, because Wolves are asking for 1 million like this. 1 million. Yes, maybe it's not a sensible buy for Arsenal. Maybe they think that they should be paying less than 1 million. But I don't think a 1 million deal should actually fail. Honestly, we should not waste a lot of time on that. Go there, pay that 1 million, agree personal terms, get the player in. Let's move over to the next one. The good thing, the goalkeeping department understand him. They've worked with him. They appreciate him, and they know how it works. And Mikel Arteta as well is on board. So go and pay that 1 million. I don't want us to embarrass ourselves very much in this window. Really. We shouldn't embarrass ourselves very much in this window. If there is a possibility of doing a good deal, go and do it, and then we can actually, we can deal with the rest later. Now, reports today have indicated that talks between Arsenal and Juventus for Jakub Kiwior will involve the subject of Federico Chiesa. That actually comes out at a time when the Athletic have also just reported that Arsenal are still 100% certain that if they go for a winger, it's going to be Nico Williams. That's a story that we're going to discuss at 5 p.m. today, if nothing changes. But reports are saying that Arsenal will discuss Federico Chiesa in their talks with Juventus to sign Jakub Kiwior. Now, the thing with Kiwior is that I think he will go to Juventus, right? There are a couple of clubs interested. Yesterday we saw Inter Milan coming for him, but I think he goes to Juventus. I think he eventually ends up at Juve. They're a good club. I think they'll give us the money. They'll give us around 20 to 25 million euros for the player. And somehow, I can see Arsenal involve, or I can see Juventus actually involve Federico Chiesa in the talks, in talks with Arsenal for Jakub Kiwior. Probably not as a swap deal, but just to inquire maybe about the status of the player, what it would take, and whether Arsenal would be interested in signing Federico Chiesa. Because as much as we know that he's available, we don't know that clubs want him. We don't know any clubs that actually are very much interested in signing Chiesa. Chelsea this morning have been linked with Karim Adeyemi, and so have Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal will sign Karim Adeyemi. I think I like him, but he's very raw and he makes a lot of stupid decisions. I don't like his stupid decisions, honestly. I think he's a very, very childish player, Karim Adeyemi. I like him as a player. I think he can develop. I think he should spend 2 more years at Dortmund, or 3. He will become a better player. But Karim Adeyemi for Arsenal? No. I don't like him. I don't like him for Arsenal. He's very young, he's very raw, and he makes a lot of stupid, childish decisions. But Federico Chiesa on the other side is what I would call a balanced, a balanced signing. Older, experienced, doesn't make those stupid decisions, honestly, but he's injury prone. Maybe not injury prone, but he suffered that injury that kind of riddled his career with a lot of uncertainty. So at the moment, we even call him injury prone, but he's not so injury prone. It's just that injury he suffered in 2021 during the the Euros. He never recovered from that. He was never the player we saw at Euros 2021. Even for Italy, these Euros, honestly, he wasn't the guy, right? When I looked at Fratesi, when I looked at Jorginho, when I looked at Barella, I was looking at players that were playing good games, the likes of Calafiori. Gigi Donnarumma was one of the best at the tournament. Chiesa was not. So, however much I like him, I think there's a question to be had. But if Arsenal can agree a deal with for Chiesa alongside the Kivio negotiations, I think that would be a very good that would be a good sign. That would be a good buy. But anyway, just wanted to let you know that Arsenal will discuss Federico Chiesa as a topic as they talk to Juventus about Jakub Kivio. Now, let's talk about your boys and your players that have been told they are for sale, right? And their agents are working to find work elsewhere. And this is not because we don't like them on the channel. It's because it is the truth. I know many of you are going to be fuming with Thomas Partey, but I've got to tell you, it is the truth. So the Athletic today have reported in their transfer deal sheet the Arsenal strategy for this summer is to raise the level of the squad. I want you to note that the strategy this summer is to raise the level of the squad. So it doesn't mean that the players we're getting rid of are not good. We just want better. And maybe if they're better, we want the best options in those positions. So they're saying that the strategy is to raise the level of the squad. A necessary part of that is selling off players. A necessary part of raising the level of this squad is going to be selling off some players. Among the players that have been told they are available for a transfer this summer, Ramsdale, we know. Thomas Partey, we know. Emile Smith-Rowe, we know. Reece Nelson, we know. Edin Ketia as well. And of course, the two players at left back, Zinchenko and Kivio. Now, the Athletic have just reported that when Riccardo Calafiori lands at Arsenal, there is actually a possibility that both Zinchenko and Kivio leave. It's not just a possibility that one of them will leave. There's a concrete possibility that both of them will leave Arsenal. There's a concrete possibility that Kivio leaves and Alexander Zinchenko leave. But the Athletic are saying that they understand at the moment Arsenal's priority is to offload Jakub Kivio because he's the one that has got offers and he's the one that has got very, very big suitors at the moment. Zinchenko, you don't have offers, you don't have clubs that want him. And I kind of feel like in the future, Alexander Zinchenko might either become a very important player for Arsenal or a very big problem for us in terms of offloading him. Why I think so is that when I think about the other players that Mikel Arteta is looking to sell, I think each and everyone will have options. Like, if we wanted to sell Partey right now, options are there. If we want to sell Gabriel Jesus right now, options are there. But with Alexander Zinchenko and his playing style, he's a player that I would see go to a lower club, like a lower level club than Arsenal, right? But lower level clubs need players that are very good at defending. He is actually not very good at defending. He's not the best guy, at defending football, right? He's not the best guy that is, at defending football. So it means that he can't go to a lower club that is always, sitting in low blocks and, trying to defend all the time. So he's got to go to a higher profile club. But which high profile club really wants Alexander Zinchenko? Bayern don't want him. Barca don't want him. Madrid, Man City, all those clubs don't want him. So he might have to stay at Arsenal until the final year of his contract. But the Athletic are saying that he's left with 2 years on his deal, and Arsenal are not anywhere thinking about negotiating a new deal with him, which means that he is one to watch in terms of departures. So your boys have been told they can leave Arsenal. Shall we talk about it? Where do we start? This is where I want to start with this one. Fabio Vieira is not on the list. And I told you, I can see Fabio Vieira as Mikel Arteta's boy. There are players that the manager loves, and maybe he's not better than everyone. Maybe he's not better than all the options we have. But the manager loves him, and that is going to serve him each and every single day. And I think that is Fabio Vieira. Vieira is not among the players that Arsenal put up for sale. Why? I mean, we've got to ask, it's a fair question. Why? Why is Fabio Vieira not among the players that, Arsenal put up for sale? Why? Like, he's not impressed, honestly. He's not impressed in the last two years that he's been at Arsenal. I think he's been injury prone. For a player that doesn't play that much, for you to be that injury prone, you've got to ask a question. Where is he picking up these injuries and why is he picking up these injuries? Now, when he came in, he had an injury. And we understood that. And Arsenal, and they told us that it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. Then, after that, he gets fit. He plays a few games, picks up another injury. Last season, picked up another injury and a red card. So why is he up not for sale? Not up for sale? I don't know. But I think with Fabio Vieira, this is what I'm going to say. I think with Fabio Vieira, the manager signed him as a signing that, you know that lucky signing that everyone knows it will work, but there's no pressure on him to deliver. 35 million, yeah, that's big money. That's big money. It's the same as Alexander Zinchenko. He's actually more expensive than Martin Odegaard. But when you think about Vieira, I don't think he came in as a player that was under pressure to deliver. He came in as a player that was to provide depth in those attacking midfield areas. So if we play Rice in the 6, you could see Vieira. If we play Odegaard in the 8, you could see Vieira in the 10. And predominantly this last season, he played as a 7, as a right winger when we took off Saka or when Saka didn't play. So that shows you that the manager trusts him. The manager believes in him. He just believes that it's not yet time for him to shine. And maybe when his time comes, he will actually shine. And I'm going to make a prediction before the season starts because the season is now coming in quickly. Should I do my early predictions? I'm going to do my early predictions. I think I'll drop that video either today or tomorrow. My early predictions for the Premier League. This is what I'm going to say. With Fabio Vieira, I think next season he will become an important player at Arsenal. I think next season he actually becomes an important player at Arsenal. Maybe not in terms of starting every game, but in terms of what we have seen with Leandro Trossard, like coming on every single game. When Mikel Arteta is going to, I think he's going to start now giving him that benefit of the doubt. When games are not cracking, he brings him on. When games, we have already won games, he brings him on. I think we're going to see him get more 20 minutes, 30-minute periods next season as compared to the first 2 seasons. The first season, he was too small. He was looking to develop his body and develop his, body language. The second season, picked up that injury, but there were some good signs at the beginning of the season. And remember, Odegaard and Vieira and Emile Smith-Rowe are going to be among the players that will start the season for Arsenal. That is going to be huge for him. That's going to be very, very huge for him because that means that if in the first 2 games he doesn't impress, Arsenal can move him on. Arsenal can find a loan deal for him. But he's not up for sale and he's nowhere near among the players that Mikel Arteta is actually pushing out. So Vieira, not on the list. Am I surprised? I don't want to lie to you. Right? I am not surprised. I've told you before, he is Mikel Arteta's boy. He likes him more than he likes Emile Smith-Rowe. He likes him more than he likes Reece Nelson. He likes him more than he likes all these players that are not playing. And that's why you've seen that Reece Nelson at times was not used as a backup for Saka, but Fabio Vieira was. And you've also seen that he's played a little bit more games than ESR when both of them have been fit. So I think the manager understands him, the manager believes in him, and the manager sees him as his little boy. Next one is Thomas Partey, right? So with Thomas Partey, today, the Athletic have actually said that Arsenal are big, like very big, on Mikel Merino at Real Sociedad. Now, I want to correct this. I want to correct the record. The player who said that he wants to stay at Real Sociedad is Martin Zubimendi. So at first it was reported that both of them had rejected Arsenal, but Mikel Merino would actually be very, very interested in signing for Arsenal. Mikel Merino plays as a CM, central midfielder, bit of like a Granit Xhaka. That means that relegates, does it relegate or shifts? Okay, shifts. That shifts Rice into the 6, and that allows us to have a natural number 8 in Mikel Merino. So when you think about Merino in the 6, you think about Merino in the 8, Rice in the 6. You think about Jorginho in the 6 as well. What does that tell you? It tells you that Thomas Partey's place at Arsenal is over. Now, I don't think Mikel Merino is the player to replace Partey. I don't think that Rice is the player to replace Partey as well. I don't want to lie. I want to be very, very open. However, Arsenal's strategy this summer is to sign a midfielder and let go of Thomas Partey. That is what we're looking at. That is what we're looking to do. We are not looking to sign a DM or a 6 to replace Partey. Arsenal will let Partey go, whether we sign an 8 or we sign a number 6. So if it's Mikel Merino, Partey will go. If it is Onana, Partey will go. If it is Kimmich, Partey will go. If it is John Neves, Partey will go. Whoever signs in midfield for Arsenal, Partey goes. So the only way Partey stays at Arsenal is if we don't get a number 6. I'm not going to go back with this, I'm not going to talk about his injury record. That we have talked about enough. But I think with Partey, I don't want Arsenal to make a mistake again. It should be very clear. Arsenal must know what we are going to do and how we are going to survive and how we are going to thrive without Thomas Partey. It should be a clear strategy. I don't want us to gamble in any way, shape, or form. I don't want any kind of gambling in any way, shape, or form. Right? No gambling. Mikel should know that Thomas Partey is going to leave, and he should know the player that comes in, and he should be sure that that player, is going to work. Imagine if we had sold Partey last summer and we had gambled on Kai Havertz working in midfield and Rice working in midfield. We wouldn't even have finished in second. Honestly, we wouldn't have finished in second. One of the reasons why we actually finished in second was Mikel Arteta, putting Kai Havertz out of the midfield into attack and bringing in Jorginho into that midfield. So the point is, however much Partey has been told that he should look for a new club, however much he's been told that he's up for sale, Arsenal should not do this in a way of, saying, you can now go, we are okay. I don't think Arsenal are 100% equipped for life without Thomas Partey. I am not sure about that. The next one on the list has been Emile Smith-Rowe, and now I feel pity for Emile Smith-Rowe because with him, he has showed a lot of character that he wants to stay at Arsenal. He has showed a lot of he's shown a lot of passion that he wants to stay at Arsenal. But Arsenal have now become realists. Arsenal have become ruthless. The question is, are we going to use you or are we not going to use you? And I think Mikel Arteta has come to the conclusion that however much we love you, ESR, however much we gave you the shot number 10, if someone brings in good money, we are going to sell you because using you is not among our agenda, is not part of our agenda, right? So ESR, for me, he's got to go. Like, not to go because he's not good enough, but to go for his own future, to go for his own benefit. This is a club that has showed you can leave. If you're ESR, what more signs do you need? You've been told to leave. You've been told you can leave. I don't think they're better signs. I don't think you need any other bigger communication than that. I think the agent of ESR needs to be looking at a project that is going to embrace the player and make him a king because he can do that. People have said that he's going to become like Cole Palmer. People have said that he's going to become like Kevin De Bruyne. I don't see Emile Smith-Rowe turning into Kevin De Bruyne, but I can see him turn maybe into a Cole Palmer, maybe a Cole Palmer. I can see him turning into that. Like, can go to a club, score for them 10 goals, assist for them 5 times, but I don't see him hit those 16 assists and 20 goals a season. Even if he went to a club like Chelsea, I wouldn't say Emile Smith-Rowe or even Newcastle. I wouldn't say Emil Smith Pro becomes, elite right away. He's got the potential, he's got the talent, but he's got to work on it. And I think people think that he's too talented, he doesn't need to put in the hard work. But Arsenal have told him, you are for sale. Ramsdale, that is the same as well. I think with Ramsdale, it's been clear. In the last 2 days, Arsenal have been contacting goalkeepers. And that shows you that as Ramsdale, the manager now knows that you want to leave. The manager now knows that you're not part of his plans. And I think Ramsdale should have told Arsenal and would have told Arsenal already that at the moment, I don't see my future at Arsenal. Eddie Nketiah and Reece Nelson. I think with Reece Nelson, what I'm going to say, with Reece Nelson, he has overstayed at Arsenal. With Eddie Nketiah, he has overstayed at Arsenal too. But with Eddie, there is a chance that he stays. That ridiculous 50 million quoted by Arsenal, there is a reason as to why Arsenal are asking for 50 million in Eddie Nketiah. It's because they can see him stay. It's because they can see themselves not getting a good striker this summer. So with Eddie, I wouldn't say it's 100% happening. But with Reece Nelson, that one, I can say it's 100% happening. And if Brighton had not signed Yankuba Minte from Newcastle, I would see Reece Nelson end up at Brighton. But I still think that all these players, Ramsdale will leave, loan or permanent, he will leave. Partey will leave, loan or permanent, he will leave. Emil Smith Rowe will leave, loan or permanent, he will leave. Nketiah, I'm not sure he leaves. Jakub Kiwior, that one will leave. Zinchenko, any offer that comes in, he will leave, right? I think that one will leave as well. So your boys have been put up for sale, and the club are saying they are very serious now. They're very serious, this time. They're looking to raise the level of the squad, and some of these players are not at the level that the club is looking at. Sorry, it happens. The club that you love so much, like Emil Smith Rowe, the club that you love so much can decide to say that you're not good enough for them, and there's nothing you can do about it. Peter says, for sure, we can't live without Partey. Such a rock Arteta should do. I didn't get that one. But listen, there is how is it called? A phobia among Arsenal fans, right? There is a phobia among Arsenal fans that we can't live out Thomas Partey. And I'm one of those people that share into that pool of phobia. I think Partey is so important to Arsenal that when you see him on the pitch and when Arsenal don't have him, it's clear as day and evening. Like, Partey is so good at what he does. He's very, very important and very good at what he does. But the question that Arsenal have got to ask themselves, and the question that we've got to ask ourselves as Arsenal fans is he undroppable like Rodri? Because Rodri has everything. Fitness-wise, he's always there. Durability, he's durable. And he plays well consistently. I think Partey plays well consistently. I think he's a level raiser, best in his position at Arsenal, and maybe one of the best in the Premier League in his position and in Europe as well. But in terms of durability and in terms of fitness, you cannot bank on him, right? We cannot bank on him. Oliver says, Cossy, if Arteta has no idea of signing Guimaraes or Onana, my opinion is that Partey should stay. Actually, I would go on to say, even if Onana comes in, Partey should stay. Yeah, that's how much I don't trust Onana. Austin says, if you see Partey is better than Jorginho, if you see Partey is better than Jorginho, if they can't cash, let them sell. If they want to sell, okay. If they want to cash in, let them sell Jorginho, right? Listen. If Partey was as reliable as Jorginho, I would have no problem. But the problem is that Jorginho is reliable. Like, he's always fit most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. Ima says that's true about ESR, but my point is on Partey. If all Arsenal cannot bring in a better replacement for him, he has to stay. Good evening. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Emmanuel. Robert says all of those CDMs you're talking about are below Thomas Partey's quality. Maybe we go for Fofana. Is Fofana at the level? Is Fofana at Thomas Partey's level? Because Fofana, the last time I checked, he can't get into the French squad. Like he can't get into the French starting 11. I would say, apart from Golo Conte, Partey would keep Aurelien Tchouameni out of that starting 11 for France. I don't think he keeps out Camavinga because Camavinga gives them something different, but he keeps out Aurelien Tchouameni. So for me, Youssef Fofana by now, he should be able to convince me by keeping Aurelien Tchouameni on the sidelines. He actually even doesn't do that. But I hear you. I hear you. We don't have a good striker. Update me on it. No update on a striker at the moment. No update. Juf says, nice haircut, bro. Thank you. Austin says, let them sell Edin Ketia, Kivio, Smith Rowe, Jesus as well. Nelson, Lokonga, if they want to sell those next season, we shall wait to lift a Premier League and Champions League. It would be for okay. Long comment, but I get your point, Austin. I get your point. You have a long list of players that should be sold. Baluku says, Osman, then Arsenal, we need another left winger who plays like Doku. That is Nico Williams. Okay. Partey should stay. That says, Babatunde. Isaac says, I prefer Arteta to sign two key players, Osimhen and Nico Williams. Williams is concretely understood to be one of the major targets for Arsenal. Osimhen at the moment not. Matthews Tembo says Nico Williams is the player. ESR, Partey, Kivio better be sold. Okay. I mean, I understand. So many people like Nico Williams on this channel, like more than I expected. Actually, more than I expected. So many of you appreciate him, and that's not bad actually as well. Okay, lots of people. Sunday Vax, thank you so much. He's watching from Namibia. What about our striker search? Says Jimmy. The striker search at the moment, I do not have an update on that. Thanks for the update, Cossy. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Jimmy. Guys, I'll update you on the striker situation, but it doesn't look like Arsenal are really in a good position for the striker. It doesn't look like we're in a good position. Good afternoon, Cossy. Thanks for the update, says Ekazi. But what could happen when Partey leaves? So my idea is, Mikel, when Partey leaves, he should go for a good midfielder like Kimmich, who is a game changer. I like Kimmich. Isaac says, what is the Yilmaz latest? I've not seen Yilmaz linked with Arsenal. I've not seen Yilmaz linked with Arsenal, but I've seen his name thrown about a little bit by a few journalists. Kwame says we should just be quiet and don't question the club again. Listen, it's not us that are questioning Calafiori signing. It is actually internally. It is people internally around Mikel Arteta and people near Mikel Arteta that are questioning the signing. That they're not saying it's not a good signing. They're saying that as a signing, it's not good value for money as we have already players in the position. Is Osimhen coming to Arsenal? My answer to that is we wait. Good morning, Cossy. Good morning to you, Christopher. Hope you're doing well. Kwame says we should stop messing about when it comes to who we are buying. Arteta should decide who we buy. The problem with the manager deciding who you buy every time is this. Why you don't want your manager to decide every time is, what if the manager leaves? These days, managers leave before they're even sacked. Managers retire. Managers, are poached by other clubs. What if Bayern poach him? What if Bayern come in for him? So the reason why clubs don't want to let managers decide each and every signing is that you've got to build a project, and then you get a manager that can manage that project. So, for example, right now, if you brought in a manager like um, Pep Guardiola, he can work with this Arsenal lot. He can work with these players at Arsenal because these are players that can fit his style of play. So, what Arsenal can do right now if they lose Mikel Arteta is they can go and get a manager that fits the profiles of players we have. But if you sign players for a specific manager, it means that if he leaves, everything that he has built, he lives with it. That's what Arsenal don't want. Okay, Kwame says, okay, Ateta should design. Richard Masasi says, I'm Richard from Kenya. Keep up the good updates. Thank you. Kwame says Calafiori is the right choice at centre back and left back. Cossy Calafiori won't be always 100% injury free, but he is vital. Thank you so much, Kwame. That's a very good comment. Big up to you, Mafia Boss. He says, big up to you, Cossy. Big up to you too. Kwame says, Thomas Partey should stay. Hi, Cossy. I'm Steve, watching in from Kampala. How are you doing, Steve? Hope you're doing very well. Emma says, Arsenal should allow Partey to stay for one more year. Yeah, I think, listen, for me, it makes a lot of sense. If you're Arsenal and you're not sure you've got, that classy signing, you've got to keep Partey. You've got to give Partey. Best in the business, best at what he does. We can't lie about that. Kovi says Arsenal won't lose Arteta. Hey, bro, trust me. Arsenal is in a good place with Arteta. No, I'm not saying Arteta is leaving. What I'm trying to say here is that there is no manager that's going to be at a club for 30 years. Even if you're your Penkos and you're Bayern's darling, he goes, he comes back, he goes, he comes back. You cannot be there for 30 years. Even if you're Arsene Wenger, you're not going to be there for 30 years. Even if you're, Sir Alexander Chapman Ferguson, you might not be there for 30 years. So what the project that you're building and why projects keep on evolving is that when a manager like Jurgen Klopp leaves, another manager can come in and take on the projects. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying Mikel is leaving tomorrow. No. I'm not saying that. Right winger and midfield. That's all. Hi, Cossy. Hi, Julius. Hope you're doing well. Nelson says from Newcastle. Let's say. From Newcastle, well done, Cossy. Arsenal ain't serious at all. Are we not serious? Isaac says Cuesta will be ready by then. Who's Cuesta? Francis Mwiti from Kenya. Partey should stay. Big up to Francis. Hope you're doing well as well. Hassan says, let's Thomas Partey stay. Partey is king. Michael says, good evening. Good morning, Cossy. If Partey must go, let Arteta buy Kimmich, then a support player for Saka. Eze would be a great addition, says Lina. Yeah, Eze would be a great addition in terms of squad depth, but also in terms of that kind of player that would come in and, impact games. I see him as that. I think Southgate has used him in that way, and it has actually worked very, very well for him. So he would be a very good impact player. Like I wouldn't even question that. Joseph says, how could Arsenal defense stand when Julian Timber and Calafiori are fit? And then John says, if that deal doesn't happen today, you need it today at CPS. So the final round of talks are taking place. We were told that it should be 48 hours on Sunday by Fabrizio. Yesterday, Fabrizio said it was very close and should be closed in the next 24 hours. So today must be the day it closes. How would Arsenal line up with Timber and Calafiori fit, and if the manager decided to use them in the same lineup anyway? So with Riccardo Calafiori, there are two options there. You can use him as left centre back. And I'm not saying Gabriel should drop. I'm just saying the ways you can use Riccardo Calafiori. You can use him at centre back on the left-hand side. So when you use him as as centre back, alongside Saliba on the left-hand side, that means that you can play Julian Timber as a left back, by the way. And then you can play Ben White at right back. Alternatively, you can play Calafiori as left back and then Julian Timber as right back. Alternatively, again, you can play Julian Timber as right centre back and Calafiori as left centre back. So in games where Arsenal play, let's say in the FA Cup, instead of playing Kivio and Tomiyasu at centre back, you can give Gabriel a rest. You can give Saliba a rest, and you can play Timber as centre back, and you can also play Calafiori at centre back. And that's what Mikel Arteta is saying, that he wants players that raise the level of the squad, but then he also wants players that can, create a massive difference. Um, you know, a massive difference. That when I don't have my starting players, can we really have a second 11 or the second lot being as quality? Morgan Roots, good morning, says, Cossy, I won't mind if Arsenal let Partey leave and get in Gyökeres and Fofana. Okay. Rama Aim says, all we need is a player to unblock the low blocks. If even reliable DM. Thanks, Cossy. Nelson David says, what about Yasa Aspirilla, who is Bukayo Saka's competitor? Where is our Haaland? Remember, City were winning and still bought Haaland and Givardio. Remy says, waiting for it. Here we go. Jimmy says, our upfront needs Gyökeres' energy. John says, we need a mid-man, Cossy. Yasi Aspirilla at Watford is a player that has been linked to Arsenal recently, but I've not seen that in any of the corridors I follow. I've just seen that in the corridors that, listen, there is this as well. Some players have had good tournaments at the Copa America and the Euros. So some of those players are going to be linked with Arsenal. Some of them are not going to be linked with Arsenal. So I think with Yasa Aspirilla, it's a good option. Young, vibrant, energetic, very proactive, very direct. He'll provide something that we get maybe from a Gabriel Martinelli when we don't have Saka. But I don't think each and every player that we've been linked with is genuinely in our list. I think our list of wingers includes, we'll talk about Yasa Aspirilla later at 5, but I think our list of wingers includes Nico Williams, Bakayoko, Williams, Bakayoko. I don't think Chiesa is there. I don't think Yasa Aspirilla is there. And Rafinha. I think Rafinha is there because Arsenal will look at him as an opportunity. I won't be surprised if Arsenal try to negotiate a deal for Karim Adeyemi. Like I said, at the moment, we are linked with him, but I wouldn't want him. But I won't be surprised if Arsenal are linked with Karim Adeyemi at some point. Francis says, what about Jesus? Is he going? Jesus is most certainly staying. Most certainly staying. Do you remember the play called, Makasena? Yeah, I do. Kovi. I do. John says we need. Cossy have done that, and then DJ says, "Me, I'm done with Partey. He should leave. He's injury prone." Okay. Austin says, "Cossy, please have Arsenal. Please have Arsenal brought Rice to play. Which number? Why are they sometimes seeing him as a 6 instead of Partey?" And then Joseph says, have heard of rumors that Trossard has been put on. No, Trossard isn't put on the market. It is just some few people that are saying that Trossard should be sold this summer if a good offer comes in. Arsenal are not selling Trossard. No way. So the question of Declan Rice. So Mikel Arteta brought in Declan Rice as a dynamic force in midfield. And when we say a dynamic force, you mean someone that can cover as a 6 and someone that can cover as a number 8. That's why Arsenal wanted to sign Bruno Guimaraes, because Guimaraes is another dynamic force in midfield. You can use him as a 6. You can also use him as an 8. So at the moment, Arsenal are not really pigeonholing Rice to any position. They're saying if a game comes in and he needs to play as a 6, he plays there. If we need to use him as an 8 in a game, we shall actually use him there. Arsenal won't sign Nico Williams, says David. It's a difficult deal. It's a difficult deal that we'll talk about at 5. It's not an easy deal. Really not an easy deal. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you in a bit.